Okay, 3 months later, here we are back in Crystalline. So in my quest to try to tie up all loose ends, we are coming back to this. It's just, I don't know if I'm going to be able to resolve it all in this video. We're gonna kind of play it by ear. But without further ado, let's see where we left off. A dull throbbing in my back pulls me awake. I hadn't fully appreciated the magic of mattresses until now. How do I move forward? Okay, there it goes. A yawn escapes and I stretch widely. Aside from the achiness, I actually feel well rested. I sit up and glance around. Zack leans against a tree with his head down. His hair covers his eyes, so I can't tell if they're open or closed. Regardless, his hands rest on the handles of his dischargers. Creepy. Looking around again, I fail to spot Leanna. Where'd she go? I think I hear her cry in the distance. Is that her? I should go investigate. Crossing over a hill, I see Leanna practicing in an open field. She grips her blade in a fighting stance, her face stern with concentration. She swings her blade in a high arc, ending with a graceful spin. Judging by how fluid and accurate her movement is, it's clear she's dedicated many years to perfecting her craft. Her hair whips around her as she turns, but never seems to blow in her face. Even with heavy armor, her movements are still nimble, as if she's wearing no armor at all. I wonder if all that has to do with her wind magic. Once she notices me, she lowers her sword.
Oh, sorry. Did I wake you? I moved out here so I wouldn't disturb you.
No, I was already up. I didn't see you at camp, so I came looking.
Gotcha. Boy!
Glancing down at my feet, I spot the beaming Pongo. Leanna giggles.
Looks like you guys are best friends already.
Don't remind me. More like a stalker. I shrug. I don't think I have a choice in this friendship.
Aw, don't be like that. He likes you.
I look at the Pongo again. He smiles even wider than before.
Boy!
It's pretty early. Do you always begin your mornings with a warm-up? Leanna nods.
It helps me wake up and prepare for the day ahead. Also, it's become a part of my routine, so it just doesn't feel right when I don't do it.
I know what you mean. I can't really go through my morning routine from Earth here on Terra, and it feels a bit strange.
Right.
Leanna looks down. The awkwardness creeps into the silence. She probably took that in a negative way, which wasn't my intention. That's okay, though. I can always make a new routine.
New routine?
I unsheath my blade and grip it. This morning practice you do seems like a good place to start. I rub the back of my head, looking sheepish. To be honest, I could use the extra training. Competitive fights and battling for real are completely different things. She nods and gives me an encouraging smile.
Don't worry. We'll make a swordsman out of you yet.
I look forward to it. So, what's the lesson today, Senpai?
Sand pie?
I shake my head. Never mind. She blinks, then refocuses and matches my fighting stance by raising her sword.
Since you already have some experience with the blade, sparring will be the best way to gauge your skills.
Let's get this over with. And I frown. This hardly seems like a fair fight.
I won't use my wind magic.
Okay, that evens up the odds a little bit. Leanna nods.
Besides, the goal of sparring is to train your skills, not to win or lose.
Fair enough. I've readied my blade in a battle stance, which she matches. Leanna dashes towards me. Her movements seem slower than what they were during the bandit fight. Seems like she isn't using her wind magic. Early access version minigame will be available in future builds. We suck. Leanna keeps me on the defensive, and even though I can feel the control in her attacks, every blow hits with a resounding clang. I'm never able to get into the offensive. This fight is completely one-sided, and she's not even using her magic. We go back and forth with a few more swings until Leanna strikes from above. I hurriedly block with my sword, but I lose my balance in my hurry and topple to the ground, landing on my back. Oof. Leanna kneels down beside me. That was pretty bad, huh? Leanna looks apologetic as she thinks of the best way to word her thoughts.
Well, there is room for improvement.
Ouch.
Your reflexes are good, but your technique needs work. If we focus on practicing the basics, then we'll get you to where you need to be in no time.
Leanna extends a hand and helps me back onto my feet.
It would be better if I could watch you spar with someone else. That way, I can see your movement from different angles and give you better feedback.
Unless the Pongo can use a sword, the only other option is Zack. I look around, spot Zack leaning against a tree closer to our sparring location. He watches us with his arms crossed. Wait, how long has he been here? Leanna rushes over to him.
Zack! Would you be willing to duel with him?
She points to me.
I'd like to get a better look at his technique.
He merely stares at her.
Oh, right. You need a blade.
Leanna hands her blade to Zack. He takes it from her and inspects it.
What are the rules of the duel?
Standard spar. Be the first one to knock your opponent to the ground.
Zack nods and heads towards the field. As Leanna returns to me, we share a glance. That was surprisingly easy. I guess it's not a mercenary's nature to back down from a fight, even if it's a fake one.
Are you two ready?
I step a decent distance away from Zack and ready my blade. Yep. Zack continues to stand there. I look at Leanna again, she just shrugs. He nods.
Okay, begin!
I rush forward. And suddenly I'm on the ground, staring up at the sky with an aching pain in my chest and the wind knocked out of me. I groan.
Strange. I thought he'd last at least 2 shots.
Zack!
What?
Why did you use your discharger?
Why not?
Leanna steps forward.
The whole point was to have a sword match with him.
You didn't list that as a rule.
Her frustration is evident in her voice.
Why else would I give you my sword?
Why did you give me your sword?
For you to use!
She snatches her blade back from Zack and heads over to me.
Are you hurt?
My pride. So this is what it feels like to be emasculated. Twice. My gaze drifts past Leanna to the blue sky behind her. At least the view is nice. Leanna helps me up again.
The one and only lesson you need to know when fighting. Do whatever it takes to win.
As soon as he's done speaking, Zack turns around and heads back to the campsite. That sounds just like what the angsty badass MC of a JRPG would say. My suspicions were correct all along. Leanna huffs.
Mercenaries can be so annoying sometimes.
His advice is relevant. Maybe so, but this point seems pretty valid. Leanna shakes her head.
There's more to a battle than winning. Like honor, justice, and even mercy if the case calls for it. The last thing you want to do is forget who you are and turn into your enemy. Anyway, I think we've had enough practice for one day. We should pack up and continue on our journey.
I nod and follow Leanna back to camp. We pack up our things and clean up the campsite, then we continue our journey. As we walk, we slip into a comfortable silence. Zack lingers behind Leanna and I, while the Pongo returns to his usual spot on my head. After a few hours, it doesn't feel like we're getting any closer. So, how long until we reach Illumia?
We'll need to stop at Raven Pass to restock and spend the night. But if we continue to make good time, we'll reach Illumia by midday tomorrow.
One more day of walking. If only I'd brought my BitFit, I would have my daily steps done for a lifetime. I nod and we fall back into silence. By mid-afternoon, we arrive at the gates of a settlement even smaller than Meadow Hill Village. The town consists of an inn and a few shops, the bare essentials. They probably only ever see travelers like us, people passing through on their way to Illumia.
Okay, we should stock up on supplies.
I'll be making a stop at the weaponsmith.
Zack pats the 2 holstered dischargers by his side. Now that I think about it, I only saw him use one during the bandit ambush. The other one must have already been damaged.
I'll check out the shop since my weapons are okay on repairs.
I'll go with you. Leanna smiles. Zack nods.
See you soon then.
He turns down another path.
Let's go!
Leanna smiles back at me as she leads the way to the shops. Wait up! We find the general store with ease since the marketplace itself is quite small. In fact, I'm surprised by how busy the store is. I guess if you're the only general store around, business is bound to be good. As Leanna picks out a couple items, I look around the shop. I notice people of all backgrounds wearing clothes ranging from the leather I'd seen in Meadow Hill to intricately embroidered robes. They really do get all types traveling through here. Once Leanna is finished, I follow her to the counter to pay for our items.
Will that be all for today?
Leanna nods.
Your total comes to 34 coins.
34? What an outrage! Leanna's eyes widen.
34 coins for these? It should be at most 30.
Wow, I was just kidding. I didn't actually know I'd be right. The shopkeeper frowns apologetically. He doesn't seem too happy about the price either.
I'm sorry, miss. The goods themselves are only 20 coins. The rest of the cost is the 70% tax.
And I thought taxes in America were bad. We don't even get these either. I hope you at least get free universal health insurance and education with those taxes. You guys are probably tired of me going off about the American education system, so we're just moving forward. Both Leanna and the shopkeeper look at me in confusion. Leanna furrows her brow.
I don't remember the tax being so high in the past.
The mayor only recently increased the tax.
Has no one asked why? It doesn't seem fair.
The man nods.
We did in the beginning, but then the mayor hired enforcers of the new law.
Leanna frowns, but doesn't say anything more. The shopkeeper continues to look apologetic as he gestures at her items.
I'm really sorry about this, miss, but I don't have any other choice.
I understand. It's not your fault.
She hands over the coins.
Thank you for understanding. Safe travels.
As we head out, Leanna seems quieter than usual. Are you okay?
Something about this just doesn't seem right. New tax rules and new guards to enforce them? I came through here only a few days ago on my way to Meadow Hill, and the tax hadn't been changed then. It all seems too sudden.
Let's investigate. So let's see, I was planning to come back to this once it's actually finished, and we'll do the nice guy routine then. Not our problem. Who cares? We already got our supplies. Leanna frowns.
That may be true, but still.
She shakes her head.
Anyway, let's go meet up with Zack.
I nod. We make our way to the lane of armory and smiths and peek through a few shop windows before we spot Zack. A guard looms over him. Uh-oh, this doesn't look promising. Leanna frowns as we enter the shop.
This doesn't concern you. Stay out of it.
Be careful, he has an itchy trigger finger. I know firsthand.
It became my concern when you threatened him in front of me.
Threatened? All I told him was what may happen to his store if he doesn't pay up for these protective services.
Leave. Now.
The guard laughs.
What makes you think I'd listen to you?
Zack glares at the guard as he flips open his coat and reveals his discharger. He grips the second discharger on the table. The color drains from the guard's face.
2 dischargers with purple spheres and a black trench coat. It can't be.
Zack shifts slightly, increasing the ferocity in his eyes. The guard tries to hide his fear with false bravado. He turns towards the shopkeeper.
You're lucky your friend was here today. He won't always be here, though.
After imparting one last subtle threat, the guard hurries out of the shop, brushing past Leanna and I. Zack relaxes and the shopkeeper sighs in relief.
Thank you.
That have to do with this new tax you mentioned?
The shopkeeper nods.
The taxes just keep growing. I've tried to keep my prices as low as possible for the customers, but then our taxes grow and, well, you saw what happens next.
His fingers tremble as he takes back the discharger. I think he's still shaken up by what happened.
I'm sorry. I still need a few more minutes to finish up the repairs. It would have been done by now if we hadn't been interrupted.
Zack nods. The weaponsmith gives him a grateful smile as he returns to his workroom. Tax issues again.
It looks like it's affecting all of the stores, and it's only going to get worse.
I'm not going to let it escalate.
Leanna and I glance at Zack in surprise.
You two head to the inn. I have something to take care of first.
What are you planning to do?
He's gonna go shoot the mayor.
I'm going to pay a visit to the mayor.
A good Samaritan mercenary. A gun for hire, working for free. For a second, a shadow of regret crosses his face so quickly I wonder if I actually saw it. It's soon replaced with his usual blank stare.
I'm sure a sizable reward will be offered by the shopkeepers for lowering their taxes.
Now I know he's just acting tough. Even if the shopkeepers did want to give a reward, I doubt they have the money for it right now. Leanna frowns.
As much as I disagree with your reasoning, I also want to get to the bottom of this.
I'm in too. The shopkeeper returns and places Zack's discharger on the counter.
All fixed.
Thanks. Here.
Zack offers coins to the vendor, who shakes his head.
Please, don't worry about it. You've already done me a huge favor by helping me with the guard.
Zack holsters his discharger and places the coins on the counter anyway.
I insist.
The shopkeeper looks conflicted, then sighs and nods gratefully. Zack leads the way out of the shop and through the town. His footsteps are long and full of purpose, which is a change from his quiet, cautious demeanor. I can't help but look at him with a newfound respect. This is the first time I've seen him so determined and driven. Soon we arrive in front of a large, elaborate mansion. It looks very out of place compared to the modest shops in the rest of the town. 2 men guard the entrance. Zack pauses and sizes up the guards. So, this is where the whole Dark Hero thing gets a little conflicting, because you can either cheap attack them when they're not looking, or you can try to silver tongue your way in. Both of which do meet Dark Hero criteria. Let's go with violence. I doubt the laws just waltz in to see the mayor. Zack nods and raises his discharger.
Agreed.
What are you guys planning?
We'll knock them out and make our way in. Zack blinks, then fiddles with his discharger.
Right. Just knock them out.
Yep, Zack, what were you intending? Leanna looks at Zack.
I don't agree with this decision. We don't know for sure these guards are bad.
Don't worry, Zack and I'll take care of it. Okay then, stay back and let us handle it.
Wait!
I walk over to the guards.
Halt! What is your business?
A bolt of energy knocks him back against the door and he crumbles to the ground. Before the other guard can react, I strike him square in the chest with the hilt of my blade. He gasps as the wind is knocked out of him and keels over.
Good work.
I nod. Leanna rushes forward and checks them for a pulse. After a moment, she sighs in relief, then whirls on us.
You do realize you just assaulted official guards, right?
It wouldn't be the first time.
Leanna's glare is cut short by the glow of her manipulator. It pulses similarly to when she originally scanned me for magic.
What the?
She hovers her hand over her manipulator and looks inside the building.
You guys coming?
Zack is already on his way in. Leanna looks annoyed but follows, checking her manipulator. She may not be happy with this, but she seems more concerned about her manipulator's random magic sensing. Zack leads the way again. We follow behind as Leanna fiddles with her manipulator. As we progress through the mansion, we pass unnoticed by the clerks and guards milling about. They must assume we have reason to be here if we got through the front door. Leanna stares intently at her manipulator, her brow furrowed in confusion.
This doesn't make any sense.
What is it?
The readings, they're so erratic. It's almost like there's... but there can't be.
There's what?
Shadow magic.
Zack looks sharply at Leanna.
Shadow magic.
She reluctantly nods. Zack sets his jaw and tightens the grip on his dischargers. So, shadow magic, someone mind telling me what that is?
It's forbidden magic.
She's entirely focused on her manipulator.
It's coming from...
She jogs down a hallway and stops in front of mahogany double doors.
behind there.
Suddenly, a voice calls out from behind us.
It's you!
Standing down the hall is the same guard from the shop.
How did you get in here? Intruders!
All eyes fall on us as he begins yelling. The guards who previously ignored us now draw their weapons as they close in. Zack pulls out his dischargers.
You go deal with whatever that is. I'll keep them busy here.
Zack kicks down one of the tables and drops behind it for cover.
Go! Now!
As he raises his guns, purple energy swirls to life. He rains a hail of energy bolts down the hall in suppressive fire. Leanna bursts through the doors, and I stay at her heels. The noise from the battle gradually fades away as we run deeper into the mansion. Eventually, the hall leads into a study, a carved wooden desk laden with books and ledgers. It is the center with the bookcases surrounding it. A man wearing a hooded dark robe sits at the desk. He scribbles something with one hand while the other is hidden within his robe. An older man sits on the other side of the desk. His graying hair sticks out in strange angles and his embroidered clothes are slightly askew. He stares at the open ledgers on the desk. His eyes are dull, as if they aren't really seeing it. Two guards stand by the doorway, as still as statues with the same dull eyes. The treasurer rises to his feet.
Who let these two in? I explicitly said no visitors.
Leanna's manipulator pulses wildly, especially when she raises her arm towards him.
It's him! He's the source of the shadow magic!
Neither the mayor nor the guards react.
How dare you make such accusations? Arrest her immediately!
The guards ready their weapons. Stop. We aren't here to fight you.
It's no use! He's influencing them with shadow magic!
A gust of wind gathers around Leanna, violently whipping her hair and clothes. It concentrates in her gauntlet palm, and she hurls it at them. The wind knocks the guards against the walls and blows open the robe of the treasurer, exposing his hidden hand. Within his palm is a dark crystal sphere. It looks like a marble of darkness and swirling smoke. From within the crystal are shadow tendrils which extend to the mayor and his two unconscious guards. Leanna's voice is flat when she speaks. I've never heard her sound so serious before.
A tainted spear, and the branding of void.
You have seen too much.
The treasurer raises the black sphere high and shadow energy shoots straight towards Leanna. She raises her hand, creates another ball of wind which she fires at the shadowy bolt. The shadow ball cuts through Leanna's magic like a knife through butter, and her wind scatters harmlessly into the room. It's over my head. Watch out! The hell was that movement? Leanna crosses her arms and a wall of energy forms out of her manipulator, shielding her body as the shadow magic crashes into her. She grits her teeth and plants her feet onto the floor, but the force of the blast pushes her back several feet. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
She winces in pain as she unsheaths her blade. I draw my blade as well. I can help.
No, stay back!
Okay. Huh?
Please, just stay back. You don't know what we're up against.
Don't worry, we got Deus Ex Machina in our pocket. I should probably listen. This is serious, and I don't want to get in the way. So I don't know why it's struggling in certain parts. It may not be entirely optimized yet. Leanna unsheaths her blade. A determined fire in her eyes, she faces the treasure and raises her sword. Her manipulator glows with power which flows into her blade, encasing it in a similar glow. Magic particles swirl around as static sparks of energy lash out from her weapon. In an instant, she dashes towards the treasure at an inhuman speed. He fires two shadow bolts, but Leanna uses her blade to cut through the air and shoots off two slices of energy which cut through the shadow magic.
What?
Yeah!
Leanna lunges and charges her blade towards the treasurer. Just before her sword would pierce it, the treasurer throws his tainted sphere to the ground. It shatters apart, and the shadowy mist leaks out of the orb, enclosing the room in a dark fog. The thick fog clouds my vision so I can't see anything. As it slowly begins to fade, I make out Leanna watching her surroundings, but the treasure is nowhere to be seen. When she doesn't see her enemy, the glow from her sword fades away.
Oh.
The mayor lets out a throaty groan. He rubs at his head, his eyes now looking groggy and like somebody who's just woken up.
What is...
Leanna sheaths her blade.
Take it easy. You were under the effects of shadow magic.
shadow magic?
He shakes his head as if to free his thoughts. He must be trying to shake off the lingering effects of the magic.
Is it finally over?
Leanna nods. The mayor takes a few more minutes to compose himself. When his eyes seem more focused, he sighs in relief.
You have my thanks.
Suddenly the door barges open and Zack races in. Behind him is a wave of guards.
Stop him!
He's with us!
The mayor stands unsteadily on his feet but addresses the guards.
Leave them be! But they... I said leave them be!
They hesitate, shoot confused glances at each other, but ultimately follow the order and lower their weapons.
Took you guys long enough.
Leanna checks her manipulator, but remains still.
The shadow magic is gone.
The mayor seems much more alert.
It was my treasurer, wasn't it?
Leanna nods. He sighs heavily and sits back down in his chair.
When he first arrived into town, I thought he would be like all the other travelers and go on his way. But he said he knew how to make this town even greater than what it is now. He had ideas on how we could become more than just a wayward stop. The first step was to increase taxes to build up our treasury.
He hangs his head in his hands.
All I wanted was to help the people here have better lives. But all I've done is cause them suffering.
You weren't in control of yourself.
But it was me who made all the rulings and enforced those tax laws.
Leanna shakes her head.
It wasn't you. That man had a tainted sphere, and he was using it to influence you.
The mayor leans back. He looks tired, as if a huge weight was dropped on him.
I don't deserve to continue as mayor of this town.
Okay, let's put Zack in charge. One of the guards steps forward.
That's not true.
I look over at the voice, recognize him as one of the guards, the formerly controlled shadow magic.
I know what it's like when he used that magic. All I could think about was how I could become an honor guard. The thought was overwhelming and I'd do anything to achieve it. I know that wasn't the real you, Mayor.
The other formerly controlled guard steps forward and nods.
Me too. Little Garrett still plays with the toy sword you gave him for his birthday. Says he's practicing for when he joins the guard too.
The other guards in the room murmur their assent.
There's nobody who can run this town better than you.
The mayor glances at the hopeful faces of his guard. In this small town, I can believe that he knows each of them by name. Finally, he gives them a weak smile.
I suppose somebody needs to clean up this mess.
He gets back to his feet and turns to us.
I don't know how to thank you for what you've done for us.
Leanne smiles warmly.
I'm glad we were able to help.
Zack and I nod.
You must be exhausted. Please, feel free to stay at Raven Pass for as long as you like. You are always welcome here.
Well, time to go.
Thank you.
The three of us leave the mayor to his business and head out of the mansion. Once outside, I glance up at the darkening sky. Leanna mirrors my movements.
We should rest up for the night.
Agreed.
I nod.
I saw the inn back towards the shops.
Zack leads the way. After turning down a side street, we see the lighted sign for the Hog's Head Inn. I stifle a yawn as we head inside. Zack and I sit down at a table while Leanna speaks with the innkeeper. She returns with 2 room keys, looking a bit shocked. Wordlessly, she passes one to Zack. What's going on?
The innkeeper refused to let us pay for the rooms or food. Said it was by order of the mayor, and one he would happily oblige.
That was really nice of him. She nods. Another silence falls over us, but this one feels natural and not a bit uncomfortable. After a few minutes, the staff brings out 3 steaming bowls and places one in front of each of us. Once the bowl hits the table, Zack digs in with gusto and practically inhales his food. Leanna and I share a look before we grab our spoons. Stew again? She nods.
It's hearty and filling.
Rabbit again?
Actually, this time it's venison.
Classy. I take a bite. Tastes the same. It just tastes like stew to me. Leanna winces and rubs at her shoulder. I guess now that the adrenaline is worn off, she's starting to feel the effects of the fight. So, what exactly makes shadow magic bad?
It's far more dangerous than any other elemental magic, and it's incredibly unstable and volatile. The most serious thought of shadow magic is how it's able to amplify the shadowy thoughts of someone's mind.
So the treasurer was manipulating what the mayor was already feeling. She nods.
He might have wanted to help the town by looking to expand, but there's also a bit of selfishness on his part for wanting to do that too. Either greed from more money coming in, and more luxurious goods. Or wanting more fame and recognition.
Everyone has thoughts like that. It's just a matter of keeping those thoughts in check.
Leanna nods.
Shadow magic, unfortunately, lets those desires loose in a destructive way.
Is there any way to block against it?
Unless you are a mage. Not really.
Leanna picks at her food.
Most people can't control the magic well, and it's very easy for it to backfire and cause more harm to the caster than the intended target.
That treasure seemed to be handling it well. She looks even more worried.
I know. Which is even more troubling, considering the fact that shadow magic is outlawed in Havengard.
Zack pushes his now empty bowl away from him.
I think he's part of Void.
Leanna's frown deepens.
I think so too. I noticed the branding on his forearm.
What's Void?
They're practitioners of shadow magic. They first rose to power during the struggle of the Three Kingdoms, before the Treaty of Azaria. They wanted to grow their power in the outreach of shadow magic, and a lot of innocent people were killed in the process. At the height of their power, they grew so powerful and were so destructive that the Three Kingdoms had to set aside their differences and band together.
That's when the treaty was formed. Part of the agreement was to outlaw shadow magic.
Are you really telling me it took 3 kingdoms to take down one cult?
Shadow magic is a lot more powerful than any other elemental magic. Which is why there are people who still want to practice it. It's impossible to stabilize the magic, so it's deemed too dangerous to be used.
Zack nods. I see. No wonder both Leanna and Zack seemed so grim when they first noticed the shadow magic. I stifle another yawn.
Is everyone done eating?
Zack and I both nod.
Then I suggest we head to bed.
I second that motion. I'm exhausted.
I know.
Yep, I'm exhausted for staying around and watching everyone else do all the work. She grins and I can feel a rush of warmth to my face. I guess she saw my yawn. Zack leads the way upstairs, clutching one of the keys. We stop in front of 2 adjoining doors.
Well, good night then.
Good night. Zack nods. Leanna turns the key and lets herself into the room, then gently closes the door behind her. Zack also turns the key and lets himself into the second room. As I'm about to follow him in, the door slams shut. Very funny. I turn the handle, but it's locked. What the hell? Zack, let me in. He ignores me, so I pound on the door. Come on, let me in. He doesn't answer, but a couple of people poke their heads out of their rooms and glare at me. I continue hammering repeatedly on the door. I can keep this up all night. Suddenly the door swings open and I walk in. First thing I notice are the 2 twin beds. Zack lounges on one and fixes his stony gaze on me. What the hell was that? Why'd you let me in?
No space.
There are 2 beds! Zack wordlessly walks over to the other bed and pulls back the blankets. Tucked inside the bed are both of his dischargers. Not cool, man. Not cool. I go to remove the weapons.
What are you doing?
This is my bed.
But then where will they sleep?
I just look at him. Finally, he sighs and collects his dischargers. Put your gun under your pillow like a normal person, Zack. I lie back on the bed, and as soon as my head hits the pillow, I am asleep.